Okay.
Sweet.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Always a pleasure.
Kind of cool to be down here.
You know, one thing doesn't have anything to do with what we wanted to talk about.
Uh-huh.
But I was watching what was I don't remember what it was. It was an interview with somebody.
Yeah.
And somebody was interviewing them, right? And they're sitting on these couches. And he was like, "Hey, thanks for being here." And he was like, "Yeah, you're welcome."
Yeah, wasn't it Simon Sinek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we already talk about this?
Yeah, you told me
I was
that.
like, yeah, everybody's always like, it just seemed so real. It's just a funny little thing. Like, it's not even a big thing, but everybody's always like, "Oh, it's such a great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me."
Yeah.
But he was just like, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it's kind of cool when, like, your natural instincts, you're like a cool person instincts actually just come out in a really awesome way. Because it's very rare to see, like, Tom Cruise. He'll, like, do something and you're like, whoa, like, that was so cool. I don't know what about that was so cool to me.
Tom Cruise blows my mind. He's like the most alpha person I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Like, on screen, like, a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
But I remember specifically the, what's it called? Lip sync battle with him and Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously Jimmy Fallon is like one of the most beta guys of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
But like I can't even pinpoint exactly what it was, the moment that, like, the moments or the attitudes, but it's just like, this guy is top and Jimmy Fallon's on the bottom.
Yeah, it is weird because it's so subtle, and it's just like body language and, you know, like little mannerisms, but you can for sure feel it.
Yeah.
When
Absolutely.
someone is like, and when someone is like more confident or anything. And it's funny, even I was thinking this when I was at your strongman gym just now. Like, all those huge guys came in. I'm like, holy crap, these guys are big. And I started thinking about myself in a different way. I was like, oh, like am I annoying you? Sorry, you know, like I started to see my body language just like subtly shift. And not only that, but I would like put thoughts into their brain too. Like, oh, they think that I'm like in the way, or like they think I'm annoying or whatever.
It's been a funny power dynamic to watch because, I mean, the most natural alpha thing is to be tall and muscular, right? But I own the gym.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's been so funny to watch. Like, people, like, specific, really strong dudes, you know? I'll, like, come up and introduce myself. It's like, "Hey, how's it going? You know, what was your name? We haven't met yet," or something like that. You know, I just kind of want to get to know everybody. It's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I'll just make up a fake name because, like, I want to say somebody that actually works out there, but, like, Greg.
Yeah.
It's like, "Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, what was your name?" "I'm Greg." It's like, "Cool, yeah, I'm Brad. I'm the new owner." It's like, "Oh, cool, man." It's like suddenly complete change of demeanor. It's like, "Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, good to meet you."
That's so funny.
It's been so
like,
interesting.
oh wait, I'm not trying. Like, okay, I thought I was trying to be cool in front of you, but you own the place. All right,
yeah, it's like, man, I really was trying to assert my dominance, but, like, darn, because you own the place. Anyway, I think it's really funny.
I think that's funny too. I just watched the Aaron Hernandez documentary, and like he's on trial for murder, and like all these people come in like, because he's involved with a gang, and he's always like Mr. Tough Guy, because he's an NFL player, which is like one of the most alpha things you can be.
Right.
And then the owner of the Patriots came in, and he's like really wants to talk to him and is like apologizing to him and like kind of, and it's really funny. They even talk about that in the documentary. It's like, we've never seen Aaron like that because he always pretends to be a tough guy, but as soon as this 5'6", 68-year-old white guy comes in that pays his checks, he's like, oh yeah, what? That's
funny.
How can I help? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
It's really interesting. Well, because with this gym specifically, it's probably more of an interesting dynamic than other gyms. Because, like, unlike a Vasa or something, like, it's small enough that you know everybody. Yeah. And you know, like, who the owner is, like, who the trainers are. Like, you know that whenever anybody's in there, right? Yeah. The other piece of it is that the previous owner wasn't really involved at all. Like, from what I can tell, like, he wasn't involved at all. Like, maybe a little bit, but... so there was, like, almost like a... I don't know, like a hierarchy of peers where people had to, like, establish, like, oh, I have more of a say in this gym than you do because there's nobody actually making the rules because the owner doesn't care. Right. You know? So it's like, well, this trainer is, like, the alpha, and, like, if I'm closer to her or, like, whatever, you know, it's like, and so it's an interesting dynamic,
mm-hmm.
you know, because it's like, well, whoever's like on this hierarchy of this person versus, but then as soon as there's actually an owner who cares, I've just like been watching it crumble. Like, it's interesting.
That is interesting because it's like an obvious point of authority.
Mm-hmm.
When I've noticed that when you don't really know who's in charge, or you don't really know like the dynamic of a group, it's always a little bit more awkward. Mm-hmm. Like a group project, you know, they say, all right, go, you know, make this group project done. But when it's more clear, like even when the teacher just arbitrarily assigns someone to be the leader, it's just everyone is at ease. If it's so much easier, and it's not even like a power struggle, and it's not painful to your ego to have someone else be the leader, if you feel like that's just the way it is,
right?
You know. Yeah. But if you do, if it is ambiguous and everyone's just kind of vying for it, then it's always really awkward. Like, well, I don't mean to step on your toes. Like, I'm not trying to be the leader or anything, you know. And then it becomes really awkward.
Have you read the study about like the marshmallow challenge, marshmallow test?
The one with the like little spaghetti kids who had to wait?
No, that's a different marshmallow challenge.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't. I don't know.
So it was they would give groups of people like a certain number of spaghetti sticks with some like a roll of tape and a marshmallow.
Okay.
And they'd give them a specific amount of time. It was like half hour, something like that. And whoever could get the marshmallow the highest at the time that they came to judge won, right?
Uh-huh.
And they've done it with a whole bunch of different groups, and the studies are really, really fascinating.
Wait, say again, what do they have to do?
So there's a bunch of spaghetti sticks, right?
What are spaghetti sticks?
Like sticks of spaghetti.
Oh, like noodles before you cook them.
Like dry noodles.
Okay.
Dry spaghetti noodles.
I've never heard that term.
Yeah, dry spaghetti noodles, and a roll of tape, just like normal tape. And they had to build a structure with the tape and the noodles to hold up the marshmallow.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then when the time was up, the judges would come around, and whoever's marshmallow was the highest won.
Right. Okay. So whoever built the best structure, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
The highest structure.
Well, not necessarily, because some people like they've done it with like groups of kids and like groups of engineers and like groups of, like CEOs and things like that, and like there's a whole bunch of studies about it. Like, you should watch some of the videos. They're really interesting.
Huh.
They said that the best groups, the ones that had it the highest, that could hold it for the longest, were obviously the engineers, right?
Yeah.
The second best groups were the little kids.
Huh.
Which is because the engineers were like calculating like the strength of the spaghetti and like the tensile like fortitude or whatever, you know, like, and they could build the structures. But with the little kids, the funny thing was that they would build a whole bunch of prototypes. And like, so if they give them like half an hour, then the kids would like build a structure and put the marshmallow on. It's like, oh, that one didn't work. They build another one and then put the marshmallow on, and
interesting.
You know, they just like keep going until the time was up. And whatever they had at the time was the best, right? Was whatever worked. But like with adults, most adults will try to like, oh, we've got half an hour. We're going to spend half an hour building the best structure we can possibly build, you know? And then they put the marshmallow on, and then if it doesn't hold it, they get a 0, right?
Interesting.
And then they said the groups, well, there's like interesting power dynamics and things, but the groups that tended to do the worst were the like managers, or typically they specifically said CEOs. Like, if you got a group of 5 CEOs all working on it, they were terrible because it was such a power struggle. Unless there was an administrative assistant present.
Huh.
Which is, I thought was so funny because the administrative assistant is so used to dealing with people that are powerful that they could organize the group so that they could work together.
That is super interesting to me.
Yeah.
I've for sure felt that in my group projects. And it's really awkward because you're like, I don't really have too much of an ego as far as being seen as the one in charge in most situations. I have an ego when it comes to like someone bossing me around, I guess, if I feel like it's unjustified. But I don't care. A lot of people care about like appearing like they're important or appearing like they're in charge. And so there's always an awkward feeling where you do want to get the group project done, but you don't want to be the one who's coming out saying like, hey guys, I'm the one in charge here and I'm telling you what to do. But you also just want to get the project done, you know?
Yeah, it's like you don't have an ego around how the project gets done, but you do have an ego around like it needs to be good.
Like having a good grade.
If somebody else sucks at it, like I have to step up.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed, the best leaders I like in my life are not leaders that you notice are leading. Mm-hmm. Like there are people like you look at the president of the United States, like he's obviously leading.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You look at the CEO of a company, like he's obviously leading.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like one of the best managers I've ever had was Wei.
I was just thinking of Wei. Yeah.
And she like it's hard to describe exactly what she was like. Like she was just so down to earth and like honest, and there was like no ego at all. Mm-hmm. And she was such a great manager. Like everybody knew how to do everything they were supposed to be doing. The whole place ran really well. But it's because like she wasn't obviously coming out front and being like, I'm leading. Mm-hmm. You know, it was more like she was more committed to the goal, which was like run an efficient restaurant, than she was to people knowing she was the manager. Yeah. You know? Which
is really cool and really hard to do if there's any type of like insecurity involved. Mm-hmm. Because if you want everyone to know that you're the manager, then you want to be in the front always. And you want to have your body language be positioned in such a way that you seem authoritative. But Wei wasn't like that at all. But everyone listened to Wei, and Wei had like obvious authority.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she did almost everything behind the scenes. She would take you quietly if she had to reprimand you, almost as if she didn't want to be seen as the leader, but she just wanted everything to be done right.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting.
And there was another girl, who I'll not name, who worked there, who wanted to be the manager.
Yeah.
And like nobody respected her.
No, because she was loud. She was like barking all the time.
And even when she did get authority, I don't remember if you worked there at the time, but she was eventually made the assistant manager. Mm-hmm. And like still nobody listened to her. Like, because it's not about the authority, it's about the like leadership style.
I think you can feel people's goals. You can feel the incentive behind their actions in leadership positions. Mm-hmm. And I think leaders don't know a lot of times that the people underneath them can feel it. Like when their incentive is to appear in charge versus to build the revenue of the company or to be an actual leader, get the goal, you can really feel that because they will kind of cut corners when it comes to actual productivity in the name of appearing better, and you can see right through it, and it's a total buzzkill to a team.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've found that as I've gotten better at being a leader, people tend to respect me even when I'm not in a leadership position, and not respect as in like they treat you in a certain way. Well, kind of like that. But I mean, it's when you're leading through influence as opposed to leading through authority. Mm-hmm. Like people would listen to you whether or not you're the actual leader. Yeah. It was actually a pretty obvious thing for me at Singular recently. Yeah. Because I was in a leadership position, and then I led a specific team, and then I was moved out of that leadership position into a non-leadership like promotion. Yeah. Right? And
just weird. Usually it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Like from leadership to a non-leadership promotion.
Yeah.
Strange, kind of backwards.
Yeah, it was strange. Strange team all around. But I noticed that people would still come to me with questions, and they would still like listen to my advice maybe more than other people's. And it's not because I was the manager, you know. And I think partly it's because I had been the leader, but for most of the people on that team, I had never been their leader, you know. So it was interesting just to feel like when you truly have influence with people, like when you have rapport and they trust you, and like that's where you can feel the true leadership difference. You know? Yeah. I'm not saying that I've mastered it, but I definitely felt that I've grown, and I noticed it specifically in that transition. It's like, oh, people are still sending me emails about this, even though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think the rules of leadership are similar to the rules of just being a confident person in general. Like when you go to a social gathering or something, and there's the guy who is always talking and always loud and always commanding attention, it's not necessarily that guy that you like the most or respect the most. It's usually the person who you feel like could do that but feels no need to. That's usually what I found. It's like someone who is not afraid of the spotlight, not afraid to be seen, but is so used to it that they spend their time listening and like being empathetic. Those are usually the guys that everyone likes. that people respect and see as leaders.
It's like you look at the most confident people, and like sometimes you get somebody like Donald Trump, right? Mm-hmm. Who's like loud and pushy and aggressive, you know?
Yeah.
And then people look at people like that and they're like, oh, that's what I have to do to be a leader, you know? But he's like so far to the exception side that it's like it's not even relevant. Like he's such an anomaly. Yeah.
He's like the only one.
Yeah. Like I know people like that I hate. You know?
Yeah, almost all of them are not good leaders. They're obnoxious like executives or managers, but they're not big time leaders usually.
Right. Like, for example, I really respect President Obama, even if I didn't like his policies, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like the opposite of Donald Trump. Like even like any president that I've ever known of, like in my lifetime, like Bill Clinton, George Bush, even like watching things about Ronald Reagan, like they were not Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, not to get into politics of it at all, but like you notice at the highest level of like confidence and influence are like really calm, like secure, thoughtful, like helpful, like friendly, you know?
Empathetic.
Empathetic. Like they're good at listening. Like they actually care about people, you know? And then the funny thing is that just underneath that level, you get all the pretenders.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. Where it's like usually the second in command people are like the barking orders people and like the super like up on stage and like, you know, wearing big fat bow ties and...
Yeah. Like, look how important I am. So I've noticed that as well. I was thinking about when am I my most dominant, confident, powerful, like leadership style self, right? Mm-hmm. And the answer is like when I'm around a lot of kids, you know, I was a nursery leader and I had no fear of judgment. There was no power dynamic. There was, you know, there's no back and forth. It's just me and a bunch of little kids. And I found, I mean, think about how you act around a bunch of little kids. And it's not to say that a leader don't take the condescending part of that. You know, it's not like the people you lead are less than or dumber or anything like that. That's not the analogy. But the analogy is when you're around little kids, what do you do? Like they like listen to my fake phone and you think like, oh yeah, of course. I don't care about looking stupid. I'm only here to make the kid feel good. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I'll listen to your phone and then like, I want to do this. And what are you going to say? Like, no, that's not how we do things around here. Like, oh no, let me put you over here. Mm-hmm. And like all of your actions are very calm, very empathetic, usually very like soft but stern, and you're in like ultimate power situation. And I actually feel like there is a parallel to I gotta set this alarm. It's so annoying. I actually feel like there's a legitimate parallel to be drawn there, where when you're around people, if you're vying for attention, basically any time I think that you want to be seen as something different than yourself, it's basically taking from your ability to be a confident leader, you know?
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's, there's a guy that I follow named Elliot Hulse.
Yeah, you know. I follow him. Yeah. He looks like a rabbi now. He's got like the long beard and stuff.
He does. He said something that I like really hit me hard. I don't know why. But he was like, he was talking to women. It was like a short video that he did, like to women specifically. Most of the stuff he does is talking to men. But he's like, women, do you want a man who like breathes shallow and jitters? No. You want a man who breathes deep into his balls or something like that. Like, I don't remember exactly what he said. That's kind of like his. That's kind of his style.
That's kind of like his MO. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like breathing just in general makes a big difference. But you think about like you want somebody who's like grounded and is not just gonna be like all over the place with their thoughts or with how they lead or like with their decision making. You know, just the fact that like somebody's gonna breathe deep before they answer, like, makes a big difference.
Yeah.
You know? And it's partly just an analogy. Like, they're not always, like, yes. You know? But, like, it's more about, like, being centered in yourself. Where, like, I think with sales, like, for example, in the situations where I'm the worst at sales, is when it's, like, they say something like, oh yeah, okay, that's great, you know. But when I'm the best is like, I know the value of the thing that I'm selling, and like, I don't care if you buy it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of the same with leadership. It's like, pretend leaders are like, you have to follow me. Like, my way is definitely the best way, you know. And a real leader is like, yeah, I know that my way is the best way. And if you don't want to follow it, like, that's up to you. Eventually, you'll figure it out, or you'll leave.
Right.
You know?
I think that with what you were saying about, like, the jittery and the jumpy, I heard something. I want to see if I can paraphrase it the right way. Something along the lines of the type of person that everyone likes, like the most charismatic or the coolest person, is the person who is the most, like, excited and energetic in the group, while equally being the least needy. So, because it's not that, because and those, it's like a, you know, there's like an axis, I guess, that meets up with that. Because if you go too far to one side, like, you see someone like you're just saying, that is very calm and just has that demeanor, and you respect them, I think some people look at that and go too far as well.
Yeah, that's
You can probably think of some, and I won't say them because we're recording, but I know someone in our life that's like, what's up? Like, oh yeah, leaders are charismatic people are very, like, they don't care. And so they have no energy, they have no involvement in it, and they've gone too far to the, like, calm, collected. Like, oh yeah, what's up, man? Oh yeah, cool. All right. Sounds good. See you later. And then the other side is even worse, where it's all energy, but not, like, neediness, which is what you're saying. Like, yeah, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, okay, let's talk.
A good example of that, well, I guess I won't use the name, but a guy that works for Dad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And where those two meet is where you get someone like Tony Robbins, he comes in and he really cares. He'll go up to someone and be like, hey, like, I want to help you. You're so awesome. Like, here's the strategies that I know. And every room he goes in, he does have a lot of energy, but it's not because it's only giving. You know, he's only giving his energy. He has no neediness for acceptance. That's really hard to do.
That's true.
And so, like, the coolest people, think about, like, the popular kids in high school, they weren't the kids who were just so cool that they couldn't talk to anyone. Those were the weird kids. Those were, like, the goth kids.
Right.
Who were like, yeah, I'm, like, too cool for this school. Like, I don't even care. And they also weren't the class clowns.
Right.
They were at that perfect medium where they would get energy and, like, be charismatic, but then they were able to just, like, be okay with people not noticing them.
That's true. I think it all depends on being present.
Yeah.
You know, because if you decide before a moment how you're going to act in that moment, then you may be right, and you may often be very wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, if somebody's like, you know what, I'm the type of guy who, like, is not always instantly approving of people. Like, they have to gain my respect. You know? And then, like, no one ever respects that person because
they're like,
annoying.
oh, he's that guy,
you know?
Who's always trying to think he's too cool.
Or, like, I clicked on a video once that was like 4 secret tips to be the most alpha in every room. I was like, okay,
well, yeah, sign me
why
up.
not? And one of them was so funny to me. Like, I don't remember all the rest of them because I stopped watching, but he was like, okay, so hold your head neutral, like, hold your head so your chin is parallel to the floor, and then just, like, tip it up like 3 degrees. Like, that's how you always want to be. And I was like, dude, this is the worst video I've ever seen. It's like, what if I'm talking to someone who's like 5'1"? I'm gonna be like this.
Oh crap!
It's like,
I can't break the
like,
rules.
That's your rule. It's like, just keep my chin and just bend down.
I'm trying to squat down. That's so funny.
And it's like, so being in the moment, I think, is so important.
Yeah.
And it's like, some people are anticipatory and they choose an action before they make it. Yeah. Right. Or they choose an attitude specifically before they make it, and sometimes they're right, and often they're wrong. Right? But other people are the opposite, where it's like, I'm imagining all the things that could be happening, you know, and it's like, I can't decide which direction to go, and it's like very wrong the other direction as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we get like the super energetic or the hyper or whatever. Like, you can see it in the way people walk. An interesting
in
observation.
Their hands, like when people have like a little bit of extra energy because they're walking across like the airport to the bathroom. There's like a million people. Their hands are like a little bit like raised. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's so funny. Like I think of it like, this may not be going through anybody's head, but like while I'm walking, if something were to come out and attack me right now, what would I do?
Yeah, right? I gotta have my hands ready, and like so, at all times.
So like if somebody, like, there are some people who are like, if something happens between like this step and the next step, like I don't want to be too much weight on one foot, you know, and just in case, or you know, whatever.
Yeah. And
then there's the opposite end, which is like super like way too laid back, and like walking like this, and then look like fools. Yeah. Right. But then, like a normal confident walk is like I commit to each one of my steps, you know. But it's like, it's just being present in the moment. And
I think that's a good analogy, because the most normal confident walk is when you're not thinking about walking. Yeah. It's just like, oh, I have to get over there, I'll just walk over there. And that's the same with most things. Like you're at a party and, you know, all these people are thinking, oh, like, who am I in this party? Am I a cool guy? Am I cool enough to talk to these guys? Like, how do they see me? Does that girl like me? She looked at me from across the room. Like, walk over, get a drink, like look around as I sip it, you know, and like thinking constantly about themselves. Mm-hmm. Whereas the coolest guy in the party, those are not even the thoughts that are going through his head. He's just reacting. He's like, oh yeah, hey Chelsea, how are you? Like, oh, I'm thirsty, I'll go drink. Everyone's like, wow, he looks so natural. What? He just like has conversations. He's not even squinting. You know, he doesn't moonwalk. How is he so cool? That's really because he wasn't thinking about being cool. That's right. He was there to have fun.
Right. It's, you know? I mean, it bleeds into every single aspect of your life, like from what you're wearing to like where you live and like the people that you date, you know, and it's like, it's all just basically a level of how secure am I in this exact moment. Yeah. You know?
And if you're not secure in your own interests, then it comes across as really lame to everyone else too. And when people apologize for the things that they're interested in, I hate that. Even if I don't like the thing.
The funny thing, like, it's also okay to be secure about not having an interest in a certain thing, or like not just not having it, but like not having decided in a certain thing. You know, like a lot of people feel like a specific person that we're related to is like, I always have to have an opinion about everything, and like even if I don't really have one, like I will choose one and I will stick to it, you know, because I can't be seen as like,
I'm not weak. Yeah, exactly.
It's like I can't be seen as like I've been accused of not having a backbone in the past. Like I have a backbone.
You don't think I have a backbone? Yeah, and then they'll just like go way too hard. Yeah, like you should never ever do that thing. That is the dumbest idea. Yeah, and you're like, you seem to be very certain, which means that you're probably overcompensating for something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's funny. But it's been a really interesting experience as a gym owner. Yeah. You know, because the social hierarchy in a gym is so obvious in every gym. It's like the buffest, sexiest guys are the leaders.
Yeah, it's like the animal kingdom.
Yeah. And it's like the scrawny guys who like wear tube socks.
Yeah.
Are the losers, you know?
Like headbands. Yeah. And like they've got tank tops with shirts underneath. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or especially with sleeveless shirts underneath with the tank top. Yeah. I haven't seen that in a while, but
yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but like specifically, I don't know, like it's, I don't know exactly how to describe it, because I don't feel like I assert my dominance in any way. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that like people know. Yeah. Know, that I'm the owner.
Well, when you see, you know, Elon Musk, you already know who he is. Yeah. He's already commanded respect when you meet him. Yeah. Just because there's that built-in value.
And part of the interesting thing is that people often, well, nobody stays in your eyes the exact way that they were. They're always either like you're gaining more respect or you're losing respect. Right? Maybe not always. Right. But it's interesting to note, like, there are some people that right off the bat, it's like, wow, that guy's cool. Or like, wow, that guy's really dominant, you know? Or like, I want to be around that person. Uh-huh. But then, like, you actually get to know them, and then over time, like, the truth comes out. It's like, actually, they're not that cool.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's kind of sad how you can make these quick judgments about someone, and even for the positive, and then you meet them and realize that they're not true. and you kind of wish that you never got to know them because then in your eyes they would be more interesting.
It's like that guy from the Fieldhouse, Poseidon. Remember that guy?
Yeah. Did we ever talk to that guy?
I don't think so.
Good thing.
Yeah.
He still survives like as a fantasy.
Yeah, it's like the perfect body of like this super handsome man, you know, and it's like, is this guy a god?
Well,
is he real?
He was so cool too, and he did the man bun before it was cool. He was like the first guy we saw with the man bun.
That's true.
So we're like, wow, this guy's like,
whoa, like man buns must be about to be in style.
That's so ball. I'm sure this is gonna be a fad soon because if he's doing it.
Yeah, but then I mean, I don't know anything about that guy, but there were other guys that I saw at the Fieldhouse that I would then see later at Panda Express, and they come through and order. It's like, oh, kid, like, can I sample the Kung Pao chicken? And it's like, oh, dude, like, based on your body, I thought you were cool.
Yeah. Dang it. I hate it when I think that.
It's funny.
It happens with girls a lot, too. And it's even more shallow, at least coming from me, towards girls, where a girl will be, like, really pretty and really, like, well done. You know, she's dressed nice, has great hair, whatever, carries herself well, and then you talk to her and she's totally insecure.
Yeah.
Or like really like so excited to talk to someone because no one ever talks to her. It's kind of sad.
It's interesting to imagine, like, now that the only people that I meet are adults. Yeah. Like, I didn't get to grow up with people and watch them grow, you know? But it's interesting to imagine what people were like when they were young. And like, this is my theory. I could be wrong because most of the women I know now, I didn't know when they were in high school or when they were in junior high. But my guess is that they're like women who are late bloomers who were like not very pretty for a little while or like not in shape for a little while or whatever. They go like one of two directions. Is one, they just like, because maybe this is overgeneralization, obviously not everybody does this, but I've just noticed it multiple times that like maybe they were like kind of nerdy and weird and quiet before, right? And one, they like all of a sudden they're hot, and it's like, okay, I'm still nerdy and weird and quiet. Like, I haven't really realized my
power.
Like, my physical blooming. I don't know what else to call it. Like, I haven't realized my own beauty yet or something, my own value, because anyway. But then, or they go way too far the other direction, which is like, oh, I'm sexy now.
Like, oh, you thought I was bad then. Oh. Look who's not ugly anymore.
I can manipulate any man to do anything I want. Yeah. You know, like most girls that I know that are like that were not attractive when they were younger.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And I actually would say a third one too is some of the coolest girls. Because all of a sudden
that's true. Yeah.
Now they got developed personality because it wasn't reliant on their looks. And then they got looks. So they even got more confidence. So you'll meet famous comedians like Nikki Glaser, I think her name is, or what's that one girl's name who has like a sex bot? You know what I'm talking about? No. It's really famous. Anyway, she's super pretty. She's super pretty, and it was kind of that. She was really ugly when she was young. At least that's what she says. I don't know. She was overweight or something, and she was really insecure. But then she became the funny girl. And then when she grew up, she became really pretty and really fit and really confident. And now
for all the yawning.
No, you're good. Now she's really funny and really confident.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of like, like an unstoppable girl. It's like, oh, I have all this personality and I'm hot. Like, what do you do? You can't beat them.
Yeah, it's girl hierarchy is an interesting thing.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot different than guy hierarchy.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I think so too. I think in some ways, this might be wrong. I was gonna say I think in some ways it's more like intentional. Like girls have to go out of their way to. It's like more fighting and levying for position, whereas guys a lot of times it just happens naturally.
And you just kind of like accept it.
Yeah, you know? And I think guys are a lot chiller when it comes to accepting that. I guess that depends. Yeah. When it's like two guys that both really want to be leaders, like they're like two like big alpha guys, I guess that can have a lot of fireworks. But it seems like girls, because it's not quite as obvious, you know, there's no primal rankings for who's in charge, like there are with men. Like when there's when Shaquille O'Neal's in the room, like, yeah, he's in charge. You know. Right. But with girls, because they don't have that, at least I don't think they do.
And it's not even as valuable. You know.
Yeah.
Like a big strong girl obviously is going to be able to beat anybody up if she wanted to.
Right.
But like, that's not as high of a trait as like being pretty.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not just saying like in preference of men. I'm saying like among women too,
among women,
you know?
I completely agree. And yeah, the rules are a little bit different. Oh, freaking heck. I gotta set my alarm. Cancel. Start. I'll get it one of these days. It's true. The rules for girls, I don't really know. I mean, I know some of them. It seems like the girls that are in charge are obviously confident, usually attractive, but not just attractive. Because there's a lot of attractive girls that are very submissive to other girls.
Yeah, that's true.
It's also, I think, their ability to connect with other girls. Rather than men, where men are kind of based, their hierarchy is kind of based on their ability to appear dominant to more men. That's why bigger guys feel like they're in charge more often. With girls, it's more like, how many girls can I get on my side if this turns into a rumor war? Like, how many girls like me more than you? That's what I've observed. I don't know if that's necessarily always true, but that's kind of what it feels like.
It's funny because even like, obviously there's so much more nuance to this than we're getting into. You know, it's so funny because there are so many like big, strong dudes that are not confident.
Yeah.
You know,
basically all comes down to confidence.
Right, and then like, yeah, it's interesting because somebody that is naturally confident and then is also big, it's like obviously you don't know which one came first, you know, because maybe they've been big their whole life or something. But that's like the ultimate alpha, you know, like Tony Robbins, for example. He's a great example.
He's very confident and very big.
Right. And like not just big, like tall, like as in like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is really tall, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't come off as a super alpha dude.
Right.
You know? Not that he's not shy. But as opposed to like I don't know, what's an example? I guess Shaq is a good example.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can get much more of a good example than that.
Yeah. I mean, I read that Presence book that you recommended about body language. First off, let me say, I think people take that too far. I think that it's true that confident people like try to fill up the space more, and like all those things that you've heard, like insecure people, you know, hide, and confident people are open and they like look up and make eye contact and those types of things. But I think way too many people read that kind of stuff, and like we said earlier, they go into situations like, oh hey, what's up? How are ya?
Yeah.
And I immediately think about that person like, you're kind of a weenie. Like, oh, you used to be a loser. You know, like, I don't know. Like, I usually think like, oh, you became confident later in life or something. It's almost never just, wow, this guy shook my hand so hard. He must be a badass. You know, like
it's funny. I think maybe people don't necessarily take it too far, but they misunderstand the point of the book.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like the point of Presence, the way I see it, and like, I don't know, I could be wrong. But it's that the way that you carry yourself actually affects your internal state.
Yes.
Whereas other people are like, well, the way I carry myself is myself. You know, as opposed to like, I'm becoming more confident because of how I stand and how I like let the blood flow through my body, instead of having that and letting it be an internal change. It's like, oh, she said that confident people stand with their hands on their hips, so I'll just like always stand with my hands on my hips. It's like, and that's where it ends. Like it doesn't lead to, or maybe it leads to a little bit of an internal change, but they don't internalize it because that's as far as they got into it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I completely agree. One thing I've been thinking about, we talked about this a little bit earlier today, is how when you're actually doing something and you can calibrate what you've learned in real life situations, how much faster you learn and how much easier it is to put context to what you've learned. You know, like if you learn about being confident, you learn about public speaking, or you learn about coding or whatever, when you actually start to put it, if you learn and then immediately put it into practice and then learn and put it into practice, it accelerates the learning and it validates the learning much better than if you try to do one without the other.
Oh yeah,
especially so just true. Learning without action.
It's so true. Like the last 3 years at Singular, when I first got offered the job, there was like a 2.5 week period before my first day. Mm-hmm. Right. This was like 3.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, what's today? The 20th of February.
Yeah, it's my 1 year anniversary at Singular. Not today, this month.
My first day at Singular was the 21st of February.
Oh, cool. So tomorrow?
Yeah.
Nice.
I missed all of my anniversary company-wise, which is fun. But
it was today.
Really?
And I missed it.
Darn. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So like when I first started, I got offered the job and I had 2.5 weeks until I was going to start. Uh-huh. And I was like, this is a job I've never done before. Like I'm going to research. So like I called the guy that offered me the job and I was like, do you have any like book recommendations or anything? So like I bought the books and I read them all. And like within like probably 3 weeks of working there, like no joke, I was as good at that job as I was the day I quit.
Yeah.
Like I got so good at it so fast because my learning was focused. And there's a lot of things I got better at over time. Yeah. But like how to be a network marketing coach like changed very, very little from like that first month.
Yeah.
But and then from there, like I love reading books or I love listening to books. Uh-huh, so like I'd listen to a whole bunch of things, like I learn a whole bunch of things, but I didn't have anything to do with them. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's like I get garnished all this knowledge, but like it wasn't really going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly like I bought my gym and then I'm focused again. Like I know exactly what I need to focus on. So in the last like 2.5, 3 weeks, I've learned so much more than I have over the past 3 years. Even though over the past 3 years, I've listened to probably an audiobook every day. Uh-huh. Not a whole book, but like I've listened to something like a book or a podcast or a video. Like I love learning, but since it was just kind of scattered and I didn't have anything to go into, it just was going into nothing. But like suddenly, okay, I've got a goal. Like I need to get people to sign up for my gym.
Yeah.
So I learned how to run Facebook ads and I learned how to run like a click funnel and I learned how to copyright a little bit, kind of. And I learned how to build a nutrition plan and I learned how to help people lose weight, which I know a little bit about all that stuff. I learned how to run a fitness program. I learned how to do pricing. I learned how to like write an employment agreement. You know, there are so many things. Like I learned how to run Zapier, which is fun. We can talk about that later if you want. Mm-hmm. Like there's a million little things that I learned because I had a specific goal mm-hmm. and just like went after it, you know? And I hope that obviously the rate of growth isn't going to keep up the same trajectory.
Sure.
But as you find more specific things that you can be focused on, like it is so much more powerful than just like learning in general. Mm-hmm. You know? And there are things that... What?
You can talk, but yeah, you're good.
It's fine.
I actually didn't hear what you said.
She's going to use the blow dryer.
Oh, okay. You're fine. Okay. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
It's funny, like when you think about like a university, like a liberal arts college mm-hmm. versus like a trade school. Mm-hmm. Like when somebody goes to trade school, it's like, I want to go learn how to weld. You know?
Yeah.
And they're done in 9 months.
Yeah.
You know, they're done in 18 months. But like a liberal arts degree, it's like, I'm going to go learn English, you know? And it's like, I'm going to spend 4 years learning like all this type of literature and this type of sentence structure and like this type of history of how the language was created. And it's like, I don't know when I'm going to use any of this. I'm going to learn how to like write books and I'm also going to learn how to be a screenwriter and I'm going to learn how to evaluate novels. And it like, mm-hmm. I don't have an English degree. Maybe they learn different things than what I'm assuming.
Right.
But like, I don't know what I'm going to use. So like, I kind of just have to learn all this stuff. But like once you have a specific goal of like, I'm going to run a gym, I'm going to get people into the gym and make ads to do it. Like it's really interesting how just things skyrocket if you're driven, obviously.
And it's a difference between, in my opinion, learning and collecting information, where I've heard the analogy that it's like 2 feet of learning. One of them is knowledge and the other one is action. And if you only step with 1 foot, you'll end up doing the splits. Mm-hmm. So you have to learn and then take action and then learn and take action. And when you're collecting information, it's what I do right now. It's reading books and like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like I'll learn about this. And there's kind of a general theme across like business building or investing. Mm-hmm. But since I don't, first off, have anywhere to apply it, it doesn't stick as much. and it doesn't mean as much. And also I can't put it into context because it's just a vast amount of information. It's like when someone, you know, you read in a book that, you know, if you're in a negotiation and someone asks you to do something, you should never just say yes, because that is a sign that you're giving in to them, you're submitting to them. And that actually might be true. And I'm sure there's plenty of situations where that's true. But like if you're in a negotiating job, then you'll be able to tell when that's true and when it's not true.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to take what you learned and actually have it like float in your mind and be like, okay, that thing that I learned, oh, that's applicable here. Rather than just learning where you kind of manufacture like a fake reality. Like, oh, someday when I'm in the situation when I need to negotiate, just remember, like, never say yes. Or, you know, the weird advice that you get in books. And I can echo that completely. Like whenever I have something that I can actually go do, if I learn it and do it immediately, I learn it seriously 10 times faster.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's funny to look at, like, so I signed up for like a online module on how to make a lot of money at a gym, right? And the interesting thing was that like they've got a whole bunch of videos, like 100 hours worth of videos, right? And I've watched all of them now, but I like when I first started, I like picked like 12, and I was like, I need to get people signing up like tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So I watched these 12 videos, and it's like, whoa, I learned this, and then I learned this, and then I learned this, you know?
Yeah.
And like since then, I've been like watching the rest of them over the last like 3
fill in
weeks.
the gaps.
Yeah, and it's like it's fine, but it's like I could have done fine with with 10 videos, you know? And it's like I'm glad that they delivered what they did. But I also watched them out of order so I could get the ones that I wanted.
Yeah, I think that's true with most things. Like, you need to know, like, 10 movements to be good at basketball. You need to know 500 to be great at basketball. But can you dribble? Can you pass? Can you shoot? You know, can you dribble with your left hand? Can you score? Like, there's really not that many things you need to practice to jump pretty far in it.
It's like, sorry to cut you off,
but
it's
ahead.
like I was reading a thing about Arnold Schwarzenegger actually, and he said that he like for the first, I don't remember how long, but for a significant chunk of the beginning of his bodybuilding career, he did like 5 workouts, like 5 exercises. I mean,
yeah,
and it was like all the ones that you'd guess, right? It was like deadlift, squat, bench press, shoulder press, and rows, you know, and like that's all that he did, and like he got huge, and like everybody loves Arnold Schwarzenegger's body, and only at the point where he was like, this is as far as I can go, like this is as big as I can get. Obviously, like he ate specifically for bodybuilding and stuff like that, and then only then did he start to like do like the inverted, like the curls, and like he created like the Arnold press, you know, things like that. But like it was after building the huge foundation, and literally huge foundation of like, I'm going to get as big and as strong as I can by doing these basic fundamental things. And so many people want to jump into the gym and it's like, man, I want to get really big. I'm going to do like a bunch of calf raises, and I'm going to like, I learned that if I like twist my arm while I do a curl, then like it hits the bicep in a different way, and like the medial head and like the brachialis. And it's like, dude, bro, like you don't have a chest, you don't have a back, like you don't have legs, like you don't have quads, you know. It's like those are way more important. Like, okay, you can do like straight bar curls for the first like 3 years of bodybuilding and get way bigger biceps, like by going heavy and whatever and following the specific programs, than by like, I heard that like when I do a preacher like this versus like this, like it's gonna hit my thing in a different way. But it's like, that's not what you should be focusing on right now.
Yeah, I actually made a video about this the other day. That was people look too much into the like the little tiny steps, looking for a shortcut. You know, how do I hold my hands, and like, oh, do I breathe in first? Do I breathe out first? Like, do I take pre-workout? Do I take post-workout? And all this stuff that may or may not be true. Probably is true, actually. And then they don't do the big things that would get them a majority of the success. And so I was saying that instead of asking what are the little things that you're supposed to do, you should be asking, how do I get myself to do the big things that are obvious? That's a much more valuable question. Not like, what is the best way for me to hold my bicep curls? A better question is, how do I get myself to go to the gym to do bicep curls at all? Because most people have a much bigger problem with willpower than they have with information. Like, information is basically worthless now.
Yeah, true.
I mean, everyone can Google anything, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do I, like, what do I eat to be healthy? It's obvious. You just Google it. You'll find out in 2 seconds.
Right.
And you don't even need to Google it. You already know.
Right.
But how do you get yourself to eat that? That's a hard question to answer.
It's funny because this is kind of what led me to buying this gym.
Yeah.
I think I've told you this before, but like my goal is angel investing.
Mm-hmm.
Or like running a private equity company, one of the two. But my goal is to invest money into entrepreneurs and help them build their businesses. Like, I love the idea of that. And I got a little taste of that at Singular, of like helping people build their small businesses, right?
Why do you think you like that? What is it about that
that's a good question. I don't know. I've done it a little bit myself, and I think that I had way bigger plans than I knew what to do with, and so they didn't end up going anywhere. And I would have loved, like, first of all, to know that there were even investors out there. Like, I didn't even think about the possibility when I was running my painting business.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Of like, if I go talk with the private equity company, then we can like scale this operation like crazy, like is in my head. I didn't know that was even an option. Right. So I'd like to bring, well, a lot of people know that that's an option. Maybe I just was ignorant. But I'd like to bring attention to that, like let entrepreneurs know that, hey, there is somebody that can give you money, can give you mentorship or whatever. And then the other part is like, like actually making things become real. Like I've always had way bigger plans that I know what to do with, like even with this gym. And I think this is the one that's going to be the best because I'm actually finally doing something, and it has somewhere that it can go. Yeah. But I think that's the thing that causes me to want to do that the most, because of all the entrepreneurs that are out there. Like my friend Evan, he had this awesome idea for like a video series, like a docu-series, where they would go into like foreign countries and like go do what the locals do in the foreign countries instead of what the tourists do, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like it would be an interesting, like it could be like a Snapchat series, or it could be on TV. Like it could have been a whole bunch of different places. But he didn't know where to go with it. He didn't know how to like monetize it. He didn't even know if it was possible, and nobody would give him money, you know? And it's like, maybe it's a bad example because I don't know how you monetize it either.
Right.
But there's so many of these wonderful ideas out there that some of them are junk, some of them are just a dog that you're going to lose money on. But they're like, there's a lot of great ideas that I think I want to foster. But in my head, it's funny. So I'm a part of a Facebook group that's all about how to start a private equity fund. Right? It's like, I think it's called investment fund something. I don't know. And it's a bunch of people who joined who want to start their own fund of like, go get money from investors and then like dictate how we spend this money to give a return to the investors. Right? Which is cool. Like, and that's why I joined it, because I want to do that eventually. Right. But so many people on there, like, hey, I'm new to this. Like, I really would love to start a fund someday. Like, in your, LPA agreement, would you recommend like a 8% pref or like a 9% pref? And it's like, dude, you don't even have an investment strategy. Yeah. You've never run a business.
I think that the fact that you that you bought a gym is so cool. And I think a lot of people would want to know how you did it and why you did it. But I guess both of those equally.
Okay, sure. Well, so it kind of bleeds into what I was saying a second ago. So like, so many people are like so worried about like the nitty gritty details, of like, should I return money to my investors quarterly, or should I return it to them like trimesterally, or maybe I could do annual or even like biannual. And it's like, dude, you don't know how to invest. Nobody's going to give you money. You've never run a company. You've never exited on a successful investment. Like nobody, like, forget about the fund for a second. Like, go get the experience and whatever it is that you need to be able to actually even start gaining that kind of trust in the marketplace.
Yeah, they're like, what font should I use for the menus in my restaurant? Like, do you know what food you're serving? Do you know where the restaurant's going to be?
And maybe in certain cases of these people, it's like, I want to be like the fund manager, and I'll have somebody else be the investment manager. And okay, that's fine. But if you've never run a fund, why would an investment manager trust their fund to you?
Yeah.
You know? So that was my thought. I was like, that's where I eventually want to get. So within like a few months back, I was thinking like, okay, what are the big steps they're gonna get me there? Because what I started doing was I downloaded a whole bunch of LPAs, which is limited partnership agreement, which is like the agreement that you sign with the investors that give you money, and that you're gonna go take their money and invest it in small companies, right? So I started reading those. Like I read through 3 or 4 of them because I just wanted. It's like super dry legal jargon. Like that's what it is, right? And I thought it'd be interesting to figure out how this whole thing works. And then after like about the 4th one, and I really got a pretty good idea of what it all is about, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, this isn't the big step that's going to get me there.
Yeah.
So my thought was, I'll work my way backwards. So I want to either on my own with my own money or through a private equity fund. I haven't decided yet. That'll probably manifest itself over time. Either through one of those two, I want to invest money into small businesses and help them grow, right? And sometimes make them into big businesses, you know, and be able to offer, if solicited by the entrepreneur, like offer mentorship and offer experience, you know, and help these companies grow. And a lot of people don't want that, so you wouldn't have to. But anyway, so that's the end goal. So backwards from there is, you know, I need to know how to invest in companies. I need to know like what's a good deal in a company. Like when I look, need to know how to value a company. You know, I need to know how to structure a negotiation, right? And so the next step backwards from there was, well, I'll just do it. You know, I'll just go buy a business. So I literally went online and I Googled how to buy a business, right? And it came up with a whole bunch of different things. So I read a whole bunch of books about business valuation. And there's just like these websites online. Like the one I was at was Biz Buy Sell. B-I-Z buy sell, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like a bunch of companies for sale. And I was like, this is a whole world that I never even knew existed.
I didn't know that existed either.
Like, and it makes sense. Like if I'd have thought about it, I would have realized it. But it's like, okay, well, once I feel confident in business valuation, which I still don't feel 100% confident. It doesn't matter because I bought a business. We're already paid the money.
Yeah.
It's like once I feel confident in that, I'm going to go start making offers, you know? And I saw a whole bunch of different companies for sale. It's based on like SDE, which is seller's discretionary earnings, which is how much money the guy who owns it now is bringing in.
You mean like profit?
Basically like profit. Yeah, not revenue.
Okay.
It's basically like profit, but there's different ways to calculate. Like if I'm paying myself a salary, then the profit of the business is separate. So like you combine anything that the owner is keeping, and that's the seller's discretionary earnings, right? And it's based, and then you look at the numbers of like, is based on the seller's discretionary earnings, is it worth this amount of money with the collateral or whatever, like the equipment or whatever they own or the inventory, you know? Right. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to value business, but that's like the simplest way is I look at the seller's discretionary earnings, and then I times it by 3, and then that's my rule of thumb for how much this business is worth to me.
Okay.
Right? Assuming that the business would be able to run for the next 3 years. So I look into how well it's running, and I look into how financially sound it is. And then, like, based on, like, is it a lot of involvement from the owner, then the price might go up from there. And the price might go down, the value. Or if it's, like, a little bit of, like, if it's absentee and he's just raking in money and somebody else is the manager, then the value could go up. But that's like kind of the rule of thumb that I came up with anyway. It's not always going to be the case.
Makes sense. The more passive it is, the more expensive it would be.
Yeah. So I was looking into a whole bunch of different companies. I looked into like an Asian grocery store.
Oh, really?
That's in Orem. Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's just called the Asian store. Anyway, I looked into like a soda business, and I looked into a whole bunch of different ones, like a used car business, and I was just like evaluating the worth of these different companies. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't I go into a business that I feel like I understand, right? And I feel like I understand the gym business. And I've since learned that I really didn't understand it that much, but more than, even with the limited knowledge at that time, it was more than like a car dealership. I don't know anything about running a car dealership. Like I know how to make sales. I'm sure I could sell cars. Yeah. But I don't know anything about the actual management of
and the culture dealership.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I was like, well, I started looking into gyms specifically of like my first business. It makes sense for it to be a gym, right? Because that's something that I understand. So I started looking into gyms. I found one. I put in an offer, and they didn't accept my offer, which was actually really great because it helped me realize like I'm not just buying something to buy something. Like I really understand, and this is what I think this is worth, right? And they didn't accept it, which was actually good. I put in a different offer to a different place, and they super didn't accept it because it was way different than what they were asking for. And then I randomly, as I was going through this process on Facebook Marketplace, of all places, because I like to buy gym equipment on Facebook Marketplace, so I always get like notifications when people post new things. It's like, oh, squat rack for sale near you, that kind of stuff. And it was like, gym for sale, $50,000. It's like, oh, geez. So I like,
oh, that's crazy.
Right then I sent him a message because it popped into my world right exactly when I wanted it, right? So I sent him a message, and then like it wasn't that complicated of a process. Like I was like, hey, I want to come look at it, and then like I met with the owner at the place, and then he walked me around, and then as we sat back down, like he showed me some like the financial info, like the equipment list, like the memberships and stuff like that. It took like total probably 45 minutes, and then I was like, okay, I want to put in an offer. I want to pay this much. I want to put this much down in cash, and for the rest of it, I'll get a loan. And he was like, okay, I got to meet with 3 other people, and if I like your offer, then we'll go with it. So I wrote up like an agreement. I just Googled like a business sale agreement template, and then I like copied and like filled in the blanks with all my info.
Like in a totally different font, like Brad.
It's interesting because cool. Like when they say like everything is negotiable, like it's obviously not 100% true, but it's like I could literally do anything I want. Like I'm buying this business, like we're creating this deal between the two of us. Like one of the things about real estate when we bought this house was that I think the deal would have been a lot different if we just sat down with the sellers, because there were certain things that we wanted, like we wanted them to leave their trampoline, for example, or like little things like that, where if we had just talked about it and like a little bit of give and take and negotiation, I'm sure we could have come out with the exact deal that we wanted. But in real estate, and I'm not an expert by any means, but like I tell my agent like something that I want them to change in the offer, and then they tell the other person's agent, and then they tell them, and then they like either accept it or reject it, and they tell it to their agent, who then tells it, and it's like a game of telephone, you know? And it's like it took us like 3 weeks to get a final offer accepted on this house, where it would have taken an hour if they had just sat down, But with this one, it's like we can literally do anything we want, It's just the two of us. So I just like wrote in some different provisions and things of like, for example, with the loan of like, if I can't get the loan, then, here was the deal. It was actually, I offered $50,000, even though they weren't making money, because I know how to make a gym profitable, or at least I was confident that I knew how to make a gym profitable. And I was right, because I've doubled their monthly revenue in 2 weeks. So I was right about that, but I was confident that even though they weren't making money at the time, it would still be worth that amount of investment. If he'd asked for more, I don't think I would have done any more. But the deal was, I'll give you $3,000 now. I'll get a loan for $44,000, and then when we close, I'll give you another $3,000, right? So $50,000 total. With a little thing in the agreement that said like, if I can't get a loan that I'm happy with, then I'll give you another $3,000 on the day that we're closing, and then we'll finance this amount over a specified period of time. Right. So I couldn't actually find a loan that I was happy with. So I didn't pay the full amount. I'm going to make a $3,000 payment every month until I can get the
$50,000. Is there interest?
No, there's not, because we just put the deal together ourselves.
Uh-huh.
If there had been an agent involved, like it was good for both of us because he really needed to get rid of it and I really wanted to buy it. So it's been not every deal is going to be that way, but it's really been an easy negotiation environment, because we're both very motivated. Yeah. Where it's like in situations where somebody is less needy than the other, then that person can take advantage of the needy person. But so he said he got a whole bunch of different offers. Like I was talking with one of the members who the owner had approached him, was like, hey, I know that you're into investing, do you want to buy this? And he had put together an offer of like the seller finance of this much, and we're only going to pay this amount based on the revenue of the company hitting this amount, because that guy like wasn't confident in his ability to make it profitable, right? Yeah. He wanted to buy it like an investment property,
Yeah.
Right? Of like, what's my cash on cash return? You know, what do I have to put into it? And he wasn't thinking about like, if I'm going to run it and put effort into it, then this is what my investment might be worth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like when I was buying a soda company, that's what I was thinking too.
Right. Because you weren't confident that you could run a soda company the way you could a gym.
Right. Exactly. So then we put in the offer, and then the money didn't come, and like the provisions all kicked in, and like I put a lot of thought and time into it, like not a lot in the grand scheme of things. It's probably like 6 hours of like writing the contract and understanding all the different pieces of it and putting together the deal. And then, yeah, here we are.
I think that's awesome. So the why was want to be an angel investor, work back to the first big step, which was buy a company, work back even farther, buy a gym.
Yeah.
Then the what, you talked about the negotiation. Let's see. I really want to hear this uninterrupted, so let's see how much. We have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So the what was the negotiations and everything. But then talk about like once you bought the gym and you immediately like you buy the gym, you sign the contract, what do you do next? Because you have to make it profitable very quickly.
Right.
Right.
So this will get into specifically the gym, like the fitness industry.
Sure.
One thing I've noticed is that lately it's been kind of a race to the bottom. You know, like when I was first considering a gym membership, like at Gold's Gym, like I don't know if you remember, we went there one time and they signed us up for contracts that we then canceled the next day.
Yeah, I do remember that.
But it was like $35 a month, right? And that was like the lowest.
You're good.
Okay. That was like the lowest one that they had. Right?
Yeah.
For like a Gold's Gym, which is like a pretty standard.
Yeah.
And then there was like Lifetime Fitness, which was like the step up from that, which was like $75 a month, right?
Yeah.
And then in came Vasa Fitness, right? Which was like, we're going to offer memberships for $20. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then all these people started to appear, you know, like Planet Fitness, $9.99 per month. And then like gyms have started closing. Like specialty gyms have started closing all over the country because they're separating into like CrossFit, which is like $150 or more per month. And then like Planet Fitness, which is like 10, right?
Yeah.
So everything in between is starting to close. And if people, one of the issues with running the gym that I'm at is that the owner thought they were competing with Vasa, right? They kept doing promotions all the time, and they would like give away like free months and like all these like, we'll do a promotion for this and for this and for this and this holiday and for this type of person and like military and like first responders, and like they were just trying to get as much as they could to get people to come, so they would just keep their price going. Like I was saying, it's like a race to the bottom, right? Where some people were paying $25 a month, right? Which is less than like an all access pass to Vasa if you're going to go to multiple locations, right? So it's like the first difference is understanding what business we're in, right? We're not really in the fitness business. Like obviously we are, right? People come there to work out, but like the differentiating factor is not that we have specialized equipment, which we do. Differentiating factor is that we are small, and like this is like a family group. You know, like this is like a relationship based thing, whereas Vasa Fitness is not. Right. So it's like the previous owner didn't understand the worth of the relationships and didn't understand the worth of that premium service. So I read 10x, like the 10x rule years ago, and one thing that popped back into my head was like, if I was going to 10x my prices, what would I have to do to make it worth it? Right? To make it valuable. So their average member was paying about $49 a month when I took it over, right? So the first change was, well, we're going to add a whole bunch of levels of service, and I'm not going to 10x my prices, but I'm going to significantly increase my prices. So the top price before was $99 a month, and they would get like a specific class with a trainer that they could come to, plus the open gym, right? And that was their highest level of service.
$100.
$100 a month, yeah. So I added a nutrition program, and I added an accountability program, and I added like a weight loss guarantee, you know, and a whole bunch of different other little things. And it's my highest price right now is $750 a week.
Dang.
Yeah. I haven't had anybody buy it. I haven't had anybody sign up for it, but partly it's a price anchor of like, this is a premium service place, you know? And like when I'm talking weight loss guarantee, I'll give people like you can expect to lose this amount of weight in like roughly this amount of time. So based on your goal, it'll take you roughly this amount of time to lose it. So let's sign you up for this amount of time, right? To get to the place that you want to be physically, right? Mm-hmm. And so if we're talking like 6 months, then $750 a week for 6 months is tens of thousands of dollars, right? Mm-hmm. And when people, the funny thing is like I show that to everybody that sits down with me, and they'll look at it and be like, holy shit. You know, it's like, this is not what I thought I was signing up for. Like, it is, because I've gone through the whole service that we'll go through. I'll tell people about my premium clients. It's like, yeah, we'll not only like customize every single workout specifically to you. You come in and work with a trainer. We'll be flexible 100% on the hours. If you want to come in at 9 p.m., I'll have a trainer for you ready at 9 p.m., right? I'll go shopping with you. We'll compare labels, right? I'll look at like why this spinach is better than this spinach. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll text you every single day. You'll send me pictures of your scale, send me pictures of what you're eating. I'll give you recommendations. You know, like that's the level of service that I'm prepared to offer. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's worth. It's worth $750 a week.
Yeah, right? It's like a life coach, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
A personal trainer for your life.
Yeah, for like every aspect of your physical life, basically. So then when we're talking like my large group class plus the nutrition plus the accountability piece is $99 a week. And almost everybody that I've talked to signed up for that one. Which, $99 a week, that's $400 a month. Right. That's more than $400 a month, right?
That's 10x, basically, of what the old price was.
And when people were thinking like, oh, I'm going to come in and sign up for a gym membership, their anchor is, it's maybe $20 a month, but since this one is like a little bit more specialized, I'll like pay $30 or $40. So when people are, it depends on what they're comparing it to, right? Because if they're comparing it to like, oh, a gym membership, right? I'm paying $25 a month to go to Vasa. Mm-hmm. And then, so I'll expect a little bit more because they're offering a little bit more. But like when they see the price of like $49 a month, when that was their paradigm before, it's like, that's really high, you know? And so people, like a lot of people signed up on Black Friday last year at this gym because they sold it for $39. And it's like, oh yeah, that's more in the realm of what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. But when it's like, what can I possibly do to make this worth $26,000 every 6 months, you know? And that's the paradigm they're going into it with. It's like, oh yeah, $400 a month doesn't seem like that much, you know? I've signed up so far 4 people on the open gym membership. Which per week is $19, right? Mm-hmm. Which is about $80 a month. Mm-hmm. So it's like 150%, right, of what the 160% of what the price used to be, right? Mm-hmm. But for those people, it's like, you know what? I really want to do these other things, but like I literally don't have the money. So I like, fine, we'll go with the $80 a month thing, you know? And it's like, it's just that they didn't understand the industry that they were in. And I feel like I understand the industry that we're in. And like, really just 100% to toot my own horn, but like in the last 12 months, the biggest month that they had for enrollments was 7. They enrolled 7 people in January. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think that part of it is because I came along and like just the change of like excitement caused more people to want to sign up. But I didn't sign up those 7 people. They all came in on their own, right? Through the website. Because people were posting about it and people were talking about it and whatever. You know, but with the people, I've started creating the ads, right? I've actually spent $2,200 on ads in the last 3 weeks, $100 a day, right? But I've signed up almost $10,000 worth of clients, right? Because we're not competing with Vasa Fitness. Mm-hmm.
Totally different.
Completely different. The funny thing to me, actually, and it literally makes me laugh when I tell people this in the appointments, is that like the rec center in Springville up the street is $5 per visit, right? Which doesn't seem like that. It's like, oh, that's pretty cheap, like $5 a visit. I'll go to the rec center, right? But the open gym at Utah Iron is $19 a week, and if you come 4 times, it's cheaper than the rec center.
Yeah.
Right? So in certain cases, it's like we get the best of both worlds because we're cheaper than the rec center, but we offer, you know, as much, like more than Weight Watchers.
You know, a premium service.
Yeah, more than Jenny Craig. Like, like this is truly a premium gym. You know. Anyway, so the first change was we're going to offer a lot more service and we're going to charge a lot more money. Because that's what's going to keep this gym alive. Like,
and keep it different.
Yeah, and keep it different. It's not a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
You know, even if like we do CrossFit workouts, you know, even if all of our workouts were to be structured just like a CrossFit gym, it's not a CrossFit gym. It's a premium gym. It's a premium level of service. So the second change, well, I guess that was a bunch of changes at the same time. But the next change I am going to make, is switch the model around entirely, because the model that they have right now, or that they had, was I'll try to recruit as many personal trainers as I can to pay me money to let me train their clients in my gym. That was the business model from before.
Right.
And it was like, you know, they pay me 20% of whatever they're charging their people, up to $1,000 a month. And then anything on top of 1,000 they just keep, right? So it's like the whole model was like, I really need to entice some trainers to come use my space, right?
And to get clients.
And to get their own clients, do their own marketing, and then like...
extension cord in
here? Yeah, there's one right there.
And we're just about done, Craig.
Yeah.
See what I did?
Yes.
Really cool.
So it was like, I need to get trainers to come here, where if they were training at Vasa, they get paid more, because they're not making their own prices, they're not doing their own marketing, right? They're just getting paid hourly, which is nice. Maybe not nice, depends on the person. But like, so there was some people were telling me about like specific issues with certain trainers and things like that in the past, and they were like, but you can't really get rid of that person because like they're bringing in money. You know, like, and your gym needs money. Like, nobody understands this model. I don't know why nobody understands it. Even the guy who's running it, who has an MBA. You know, and it's like, well, here's what you need to do. Like, here's my advice. Like, go to where personal trainers are, and like try and see if you can get them to bring their clients to you to iron. It's like, that's a stupid model. That's so dumb. It's like, so the next thing I did was all the trainers that were working there, I hired them. Not all of them. One of them I did. But it's like, I hired them, and I'm going to pay you hourly, and I'm going to give you a percentage of the profits of what the people are paying, right? So they all got a significant pay raise, where I'm doing the marketing, and I'm bringing the people in, so they don't have to worry about that. All they have to worry about is training, because that's what they're good at, right? And I'm good at marketing, and I'm good at sales, you know? So we're all making a lot more money by just switching the model around, instead of it being like you're a contractor, and you're in charge of your own marketing, and like, if you don't bring people in, then maybe you can't be here anymore. But like, instead it's like, you focus on the programming, the workouts, and I'll get the people to you, and I'll pay you a lot more money, right? That was the next change. So the change after that was the members that we already have, and this is the one that I haven't made yet.
What percentage do you pay them? Not, I guess you don't need to give me a specific number, but like,
it depends on the type. So like for a large class, I'm paying, so my base is $20 an hour, and then on top of that, for a large class, which is like 12 people or more, I'll pay them an extra $1 per hour per person.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Yeah, that does seem like a big pay raise.
Yeah, it's a significant pay. Like, our best trainer, who's like literally a world-class trainer, like, she coached the world's strongest man when he hit world's strongest man. Like, I don't know, do you know Martins Litzis?
I've heard the name, yeah.
So he won world's strongest man last year, and they used to date, and she was his coach. Like, not at the same time that he hit it, but like in the past, like she built him up to that point.
Wow.
And it's like, that's worth so much money, but she didn't even realize it. She was charging her people $20 an hour. So people were paying her for personal training. Anyway, so the minimum I'll let somebody pay right now is $60 an hour. Anyway, so that was a big deal. Of like, it's an extra $1 per hour per person, and then there's the small group classes, which is like between 2 and 5 people, and I'm paying them an extra $5 per hour per person. So per person, that's what I meant to say. And then for personal training, I'll pay them an extra $20 per hour.
On top of $20 per hour.
20, yeah.
Nice.
So they can make up to 20 doing personal training, up to 40, sorry, doing personal training, up to 45 doing small group training, and then really up to 40 doing large group training too, if we've got a max class of 20 people. So that was a big change. The one that I haven't made yet is with the existing members.
I was going to ask you that, actually. Like, how do you navigate?
So all the things I read were like, just do it. Just like rip off the Band-Aid, just raise the prices on everyone all at once. You'll lose like 20 to 40%, but everybody that comes in from then on will all be paying at the higher price. It'll be so much easier, right?
Yeah.
Which I considered doing. But instead what I'm going to do, because they don't have that many members, like I literally could lose all of them and it wouldn't be that big a deal. I'd be able to replenish it within a couple months. I wouldn't like to do that, but I could. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm actually going to sit down with each member one-on-one, because there's like 40 active members. It wouldn't take that long. And I'm going to make them an offer. It's like, hey, these are the changes we're making. You can either upgrade to like the new membership, or you can be like a gym affiliate. In which case I'll keep your pricing. You have to sign up for a 12-month commitment at the pricing that you're currently at, and I won't raise your prices for at least a year, right? In that year, I haven't written up the whole agreement yet, because I had to make sure all of my trainers were on board first, and I had my training staff, and I just finalized that yesterday, because we just signed the papers last Friday, right? And today's Thursday, so I finally met with all the trainers yesterday. So from that point, I'm going to create an affiliate agreement, which is like 4 times a month, you have to post something on Facebook about the gym and tag the gym in it. And
these are members, right?
These are the current members. Okay. Yeah, these are the current members.
Yeah.
This is the agreement I'm going to give them. Like, if they want to cancel if they have a contract, they can't cancel their contract till it ends, right?
Right.
I could cancel it because it's in the paperwork.
Right.
Anyway, they can leave. They can pay the new pricing, or they can keep the pricing they're at as an affiliate, which means that they're posting. I think it will be 4 times per month on social media, tagging the gym. It might be 5. I haven't decided yet. But they're also, if they ever attend a competition of any kind, so a lot of them compete in like powerlifting and strongman specifically. Some people like Highland Games. I think there's one Olympic lifting competitor as well. It's like any competition that you have to wear like Utah Iron gear, you know? If they don't let you wear a T-shirt, like you have to wear a headband or like a knee band or something. Like you have like a decal on your shorts, and I'll provide that. You know, I'll get some gear. It won't be that hard. The other thing is I'll give them each like an affiliate link to the supplement company that I partnered with, so that like, hey, when you want to buy supplements, you can go through this company and get it for cheaper, and then you can put the link on your Instagram, and then anybody else that wants to buy supplements. Like, and you're making a post about the supplements once a month, you know, and then they'd get a commission off of that, which is kind of cool. And then
that is cool.
So would I.
Yeah. So basically, they're saving all that money. You're essentially paying them to market, and the way that you're paying them is by not charging them the full price to go to the gym. Yeah.
So there's one specific group, the Strongman group, and they are paying. Most of them are on like a 12-month contract, which is $49 a month. Because if you're just paying month to month, it was $79, which is about the same as what I'm charging for open gym. Anyway, but it's $49 a month for a 12-month commitment, and they're also paying the trainer $100 a month, right?
Okay.
To coach them.
Yeah.
So they're paying for both. So if we switch that, and I'll pay the trainer, and we've already talked about how she'd be making more through me anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and she and I like came up with an agreement and everything that will work for both of us, but I'll pay her and you guys pay me, right? And I'll keep you at $150 a month, which is actually more than most of the memberships are going to be, right? I'll keep you at this pricing if you'll I'm going to call it a sponsored athlete program, even though it's really just like an affiliate program. But anyway, if you agree to these terms of my sponsored athlete program, so that we keep the members. And it's like the first thing I thought of when I thought of it was I didn't think of it actually. Becca thought of it. She's one of our trainers. It's her idea, because I was talking with her about the different pricing. She's like, "What if we do this?" I was like, "That's a wonderful idea."
Yeah, it is a good idea.
But I thought of Mulan when Mushu is like, he goes down to the cricket and he's like telling him to fan plane. He's like, "You're gonna stay. You're gonna work." So it's like that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna turn the existing members into marketers if they want, or they can just pay the new fee, like whatever, that's fine. And with the marketing that I'm doing, plus the really awesome trainers and the strong people that we already have that are there, I think 2 years from now we could have 6 locations
in Utah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's called Utah Iron. I don't know if we'd ever.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, we could like Idaho Iron and Wyoming Iron. I don't know.
That's awesome.
That might already exist, but yeah, that's the plan right now. And anybody, so outside like the core 50 that are there now, anybody else won't get that same offer.
Right. They'll just get the normal pricing.
Yeah. Or I might even come up with a sponsored athlete, like a real sponsored athlete program where like we buy their supplements and we pay their their competition entry fees and stuff like that, and they get to work out there for free. But not yet. We're not there yet. Right. I don't think we have yet found that caliber of athlete.
Right.
But I think we will.
Right. I guess in closing, my last question. So you talked about why you did it, and you talked about the negotiation and now the business model. The one thing I'm still wondering is the marketing. Like, you've talked about ClickFunnels, you get all these, you've doubled revenue in 2 weeks on the average monthly. What have you learned about ClickFunnels and marketing your gym?
So the first thing I learned is that you need to be marketing.
Yeah.
So they weren't doing any marketing. Like, they had an Instagram that they posted on like 3 or 4 times, and it was really just like reposting videos of people who had worked out there. Right? So just doing any marketing at all, I think would have been made a huge, and in fact, like I said, in January, they had their biggest sign-up month over the past 12 months. And all we did was like send out an email that said there's going to be a new owner and there's going to be changes, and like people got excited and started talking about
it. It reminded them that it exists.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It really is funny. So marketing at all was a big change. And then I'm not that great at it. What I would love to do eventually, like I think the direction that I'm heading is to identify like 7 or 8 or maybe even like 20 or 25 like different target niches, right? Of like specific targeted people, and then create ads based on those specific people. So what I did so far, it's kind of funny to admit, but I picked people that I know or I know of that I thought are my ideal client, right? So like there's a guy, like I'm a member of a group called Starting Strongman, and there's some people in there that I think like that is the exact person that has the money, that can pay for this type of membership, that is interested in competing, that would pay for like a trainer, and is like into this sport, right? And I found like I think I found 6 or 7 people that I thought this is my target client, and I just stalked their Facebook, and I went and wrote down literally every single thing that they've liked. Like I went into their about page and like their likes of like, oh, they like this 120 things, you know? And after I had like 7 lists of those, I compared and I found like this is what my ideal client mainly looks like. So I found out that like most of them are into gaming, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Most of them are into gaming, and most like obvious things like they like powerlifting pages and bodybuilding pages and strongman pages, right? And certain people like they like Brian Shaw and they like Arnold Schwarzenegger and they like this guy named Cale Beck who runs the Starting Strongman page, like different things like that. Like they like Eddie Hall, they like Lou Ferrigno, you know, like the things that you'd think. Like the gaming one I thought was interesting. They're almost all conservative. Actually, they were all conservative.
Interesting.
Even though like the people that I was looking at weren't all from Utah. They're from all over the country, including California. You know, and it's like they were conservative. They were into guns. Mostly they were into cars. Like if you just sat down and thought about like who would like to work out at a powerlifting gym, like it's all kind of obvious. They're also into like sexy girls, which every guy is. But like this is the things that they like on Facebook. Like and they like it enough to let people see that that's what they like, because that's what happens on Facebook. Like you can click on anybody's page and see a list of their likes, right? So cars, guns, America. Not all of them like Donald Trump. Some of them did, some of them didn't, which I thought was interesting. So like political figures, there wasn't really a common vibe, but like I came up with like a consolidated list of like 40 things that they all liked. Right? Avengers. You know, like things that don't have to do with lifting. You know what I mean? What was another one? Anime.
Really?
Yeah. Interesting, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. So I created this list, and then one thing that Facebook ads allow you to do is build a target audience, and it just says like, what types of things do your target audience like? So I just like copied and pasted my list. I couldn't copy and paste. I had to type them one by one, which was annoying. But I just like wrote in my list, and then I created this ad, and actually I got a lot of the copy I got from a like a program that I bought. But the initial ads weren't as good as the ones that I created based on this model of like, okay, my first my first audience was like the ones that they told me to target, which was like people looking to lose weight and get fitness and nutrition help, right? For my premium clients. So that's most of the people that I've signed up were from this program that I bought that told me to target that type of clients, right? But the better clients that I've signed up that are probably going to be around longer and are going to like the gym better are the ones from this targeted ad. So like I went to the guys that work out there and I was like, hey, can I borrow some of your Instagram videos and just like use them as ads? And they said that's fine. So I put videos of like, instead of, because the ones that I got from that thing that I bought were like, you know, a sexy woman in workout clothes like next to like a bunch of Tupperware with meal prep. Right. You know? And it's like, this is how we target. And like, these are the people like who want to look fit and lose weight, you know?
Seems more generic gym.
Yeah.
Than strongman. Right.
Definitely. And I've signed up a lot of those people and like, they know what the gym is. Right. And they were there like while people were grunting and yelling and listening to music with a bunch of swear words. So it's not like I've like pulled the wool over anybody's eyes. But it's when I started targeting my actual target audience, like the guy that was there today, like he messaged me yesterday. And he was like, hey, this like looks like exactly what I want. Can I come by? Like we didn't mention pricing or anything. I was like, yeah, let's sit down and we'll get you signed up. He's like, okay, cool. And then he came and sat down and we got him signed up.
It's awesome.
You know, because I just put a video, like so far I've only got one of this type of ad of like one of our guys picking up a 300-pound stone and putting it on top of this platform. And in the ad, it says like, I was just like pulling crap out of my butt. I'm not a copywriter, but it was like, most people don't like working out at a gym like this. Like they get their hands torn up and they get bruises, you know, and they drop weights on themselves and they get yelled at and sometimes spit at and sometimes they bleed, you know, and that was mainly my ad. But it was like, why do they do this? Because they're chasing greatness. You know, they want to push their bodies and their minds to the max, you know, and want to know what it feels like to have completely conquered yourself and things like that. Right. So that's what my ad said. And it's like, people start clicking on it.
That's awesome.
You know, like the type of people that I found from this target list, and like I knew who the like psychographically I knew who the person was, but like externally, like what the types of things that they like, I didn't know. So that's where my research came in.
That's awesome.
And so I think I've only signed up 3 people from that ad. I launched it 2 days ago, and they all signed up for a year. You
That's
know?
awesome.
So it's cool.
That's really cool. Once again, by being different, and like literally, your copy is saying we're not like most people.
Yeah,
we're different, and that's why you should like us.
I watched a video from these guys called Traffic and Funnels. I think that's the name of their company. And they quoted somebody. I wish I remember who it was, but it was like, if I can spend $1 on marketing and get $2 back, I'll never have to worry about money again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's so true. I spent $2,200 on marketing and I've made back 9.
Yeah.
9,000, you know? And it's like, there's no reason. If you can outspend your competition in marketing, you'll never lose. You know?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. It's like the best ROI.
Right. Exactly.
That's awesome.
So.
Cool. Well, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for talking. I think this is going to be super valuable and awesome to a lot of different people, not just people that want to start a gym, but just business. So Thank you, sir.